This is Creating Compelling Service Opportunity Listings, a webinar for Vista supervisors, sponsors, and leaders. In this webinar, we'll share some strategies for writing a Vista opportunity listing that will attract applicants who are well suited to your project's needs. I'm your host, Andy King, a Senior Training Specialist with AmeriCorps Vista, and I'm pleased to introduce you to our main speaker, Jennifer Rakow. Jen has a wealth of experience with AmeriCorps, starting with her service as an AmeriCorps NCCC team leader. And that included all the fun stuff like firefighting and disaster relief. She since has worked as a program officer in the AmeriCorps Colorado State Office, and later was an advisor for strategic and operational planning for the agency's grants office. Jen now runs a private practice of business coaching and training. Jen, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Andy. I'm thrilled to share some of what I learned during my time supporting Vista sponsors and leaders in Colorado as they built their programs, adding to it what I've learned since about recruitment in my talent management work in the private and nonprofit sectors. Let's look at our agenda. We're going to begin by defining the role of service opportunity listings in recruitment. Then, we'll describe how to use the VAD to create service opportunity listings. Next, we'll identify engaging service opportunity listings. And lastly, we'll illustrate how you can use opportunity listings in recruitment. So let's start by exploring the essential role of service opportunity listings in recruitment and briefly reviewing their components. You may already be familiar with AmeriCorps opportunity listings, but let's discuss why they're so important. The opportunity listing is often the first interaction a potential applicant has with your organization. It outlines the specifics of the position and provides clear expectations regarding the responsibilities and required skills. Additionally, it gives applicants insight into the project they'd be working on, which helps them assess whether the mission and goals align with their interests and expertise. Moreover, a well-written opportunity listing reflects the professional values and culture of your organization, which can influence a potential applicant's decision to pursue the opportunity further. Because of these factors, the listing shapes potential applicants' first impression of both the project and the organization itself. By making this initial outreach both engaging and informative, you can attract qualified individuals who are excited about the organization's objectives and values. The opportunity listing can also serve as a foundation to craft a wide range of recruitment messaging. When done well, the listing is a baseline document that can be tailored to attract your ideal applicants, for example, for specific skills or alignment with your organization's purpose. In addition, you can adapt the information and language from the opportunity listing to engage potential applicants across social media and print media. To sum up, the opportunity listing is a really versatile resource that can not only enhance recruitment efforts, but also lay the groundwork for expanded outreach messaging without reinventing the wheel. So, when creating any kind of advertisement for a product, a service, or a position, one fundamental question always is, who is the audience? For the Vista assignment description, the VAD, the audience is internal, right? It's the Vista members themselves, their leaders, their supervisors, other organization staff who need to know the scope of the Vista members' work, and one step removed, of course, the AmeriCorps staff members who approve the document. On the other hand, the service opportunity listing faces an external audience, people who may not be familiar with your organization, your community, the project, or perhaps even what AmeriCorps Vista is and what it offers. So the VAD focuses on the goals and tasks, while the opportunity listing has fewer details and includes some information that actually isn't needed in the VAD. That said, let's look at how to use the VAD as a foundation for shaping the opportunity listing. The VAD outlines tasks and competencies required for the member position. By carefully reviewing it, you can identify the specific skills, experience, and characteristics an individual will need to thrive in the position. You can then incorporate these details into the opportunity listing, calling attention to the skills and capabilities in your messaging. And this will help you attract potential applicants who have those skills or who would like to develop them further. I pulled this example from an actual VAD and removed the identifying details. 3 member activities for this project are developing a community level resource map, developing interview protocols for community stakeholders, and developing materials for group level calls. So these activities require members to have excellent communication skills, attention to detail, and the ability to work independently. Now, I'm curious about what you all might do here. So this quickly, Andy is going to introduce our next activity. Andy?
Yeah, so thanks, Jen.
Sure.
So imagine this VAD is part of your project. In addition to the skills that Jen just mentioned, what other abilities or experiences would you want applicants to have? Please share your ideas in the chat. And if you don't see the chat window, move your cursor to the bottom of the screen, look for the speech bubble icon, select it, and the chat will open. We'll put some music on and we'll give you about a minute to respond. All right, so we've got some great ideas coming in here, and kind of a range of approaches or focus for these skills that you'd be looking for. You know, some of them are very specific, like looking for particular technology skills or research or database skills. Um, Others are broader, you know, like looking for creativity or discernment, you know, having strong intuition. And then some are maybe knowledge based around, you know, being familiar with the community. Um, and then there's some other attributes like comfort engaging with people who are different in diverse communities. So real range of ideas here. Great work. Keep them coming in. If you haven't had a chance to add yours, please do that. But Jen, I'm curious what stands out from these for you?
These are great, so much. So, a couple of things. When we talk about creativity and empathy and some of those pieces, we're going to call them attributes. A little bit later in the webinar, we're going to dive into that because those are some of the trickiest pieces. So, I love that you guys already brought them up. When you list things like, I think the first comment I saw had to do with basic technology, and then a latter one talked about database work. To the extent that you can say what you truly need, do it. So in terms of basic technology, if you want them to be comfortable using Excel, say that, right? So the more they can see themselves in the position, either growing into skills because they want to learn them, or if you want them to come in already knowing them, great, right? So just think about where you can be specific, where you know that about your project. Similar with the issues around communities. So someone said they wanted someone with an existing relationship with the community. Does that mean a community like I've worked with a community that involves people with disabilities? Any specific ones? Like, right, what is this project about? Or I want an existing relationship with the local town. So you're really looking for someone local, maybe not someone relocating. So think about what you mean and keep diving a little bit deeper where you can be specific so that people will either self select in or out because they can see themselves in the position. But that was a great job. So let's. I loved it. I wish I could take more time. There was so much there. Let's talk more about how you can use the VAD elements as the basis for your opportunity listing. Right? We're going to try to avoid having you do work multiple times when we can use what you already have. Right? So the VAD also contains important details on who the ultimate beneficiaries of the VISTA members' work will be. So it's a good source of language that speaks to the causes that you'd want your applicants to connect with, right? We just did skills, and now we're looking at beneficiaries and causes. So this list of objectives is from that same project from the last slide. And this project involves building support systems for children in poverty on Medicaid or facing circumstances like chronic health conditions, parent incarceration, foster care, right? It also creates accessible pediatric healthcare and addresses health priority areas like food security, obesity, and tobacco use among children and low-income community members. Knowing that the opportunity listing is often the first information a prospective applicant sees, for example, if they search My AmeriCorps, imagine how someone might be drawn to work that benefits children and then see that the work involves some research, writing, interviewing, as we pointed out before. If that combination of skills and cause appeals, they're going to want to apply. Now, beyond skills and experience, the VAD can often help you identify the qualities and characteristics of a truly successful applicant in the role. And this is what some of you were getting at in that chat. Considering these traits can help you target individuals who fit into the organization's values and culture. And there's no one right answer. There's no magic combination. It's about the ideal person for this role in your organization at this moment. Now, I'm guessing you may have given this some thought, especially given your answers earlier in the chat. And I'm curious what attributes you're looking for in applicants for the VISTA positions you have open. Andy's going to go ahead and describe the next activity for the chat.
Yeah, so as Jen mentioned, skills and experience are often straightforward, but characteristics or these attributes can be a little bit trickier, although this is pretty advanced group here. So again, in the chat, we're going to invite you now to share some critical attributes that you look for in your own applicants for positions that you may have in your project. So not so much the skill or experience, but the attributes. So we'll put the music back on and see what you come up with. All right, so lots of great ideas coming up here. As we heard before, adaptability and empathy, but also collaboration, networking, independent thinking, adaptability, curiosity and humility. I love those two, especially paired up together. Those make a really nice thing. Self-motivation, collaborative, commitment, synergy. Yeah, these are great. And a few things here that I hadn't thought of. So Jen, I'm curious what this list of attributes brings to mind for you.
Curious? You just said you loved curiosity. Curiosity is
Mm.
a superpower, and particularly since there were several votes for empathy, I want to link those two for a hot second. So when we're curious, how do you know if someone's curious in a hiring process, right? They start asking questions. And by asking questions rather than making those judgments and assumptions, you can see that they're oriented to empathy sometimes. It's a really cool thing. But yeah, so willingness to learn, fast learner. The only other thing I want to say is a couple of you mentioned folks who can work independently. And the one thing I want to say about that is some roles, and some of you, of course, mentioned collaboration, right? So some roles require folks to know how to collaborate, right? Understand some group dynamics and their role and all that. And others, they really need to work independently, be resourceful, as someone said. So you have to know your position and then sort an interview accordingly. There, again, there's no right or wrong answer. It's which style do they need to be comfortable in, or is it both? So I just wanted to throw that out there. Those were great. Thank you. So when identifying attributes, and you guys will see some of your words here right on the slide. There it is, right? Integrity, empathy, lifelong learning, managing change. Okay. It's helpful to focus on traits to help the Vista member be effective in the specific role you designed. And I think that's what you all were doing, which is great, right? Not just the generic characteristics of a good person. So some roles require more empathy. Some roles require on-the-job learning or adapting to change throughout the whole term of service, whereas other roles might have front-loaded training and then are more steady in their routine. So really taking a look at what your position is like in reality as best you can predict. Later, of course, when you're reviewing applicants, you can map their life and work experiences that might have required them to have or to gain those attributes. For example, some of you were looking for strong interpersonal skills, and an applicant might have honed those skills living abroad or in diverse communities or by navigating conflict in a previous role. Basically, if the role requires a particular attribute, look for experiences that could have developed it. There are a few additional attribute categories that I like that I want to throw out just for your consideration. Interpersonal skills, which some of you certainly got at, taking initiative, which I saw, ambition, which I didn't see, but drives some motivation and some grit, and we'll talk about it, and adaptability, if I can say it, and flexibility, which some of you certainly added. So now that we've invested just a few minutes on what you might be looking for in applicants, let's flip it and look at what an opportunity listing can convey to applicants about what you're offering them. So just as you seek applicants with competence and critical skills and the character traits and the chemistry that will allow them to flourish in their VISTA service, it's equally important to recognize that applicants are looking for specific attributes in a service opportunity that align with their goals and values. So we all know this. We want to make sure our listing covers it. An effective opportunity listing should capture attention by emphasizing the impact the position will have, including data, metrics about the project, or the successes your organization has had in addressing the challenge so far, can be particularly powerful ways to convey impact. You'll also want to share the benefits the individual will receive through their service. So a well-crafted listing answers the crucial question of what's in it for me. It addresses how the position offers meaningful work and valuable personal benefits. So let's go deeper on the point about pulling language from the VAD that gets to the causes and benefits and beneficiaries of the project work. When crafting an opportunity listing, focusing on impact will attract individuals who are motivated by making a difference. This is just logical. As you probably know, since you're in this line of work, people want to know that their efforts will matter and to what positive changes they'll contribute. There are a handful of impacts that you can focus on while creating your opportunity listing that reveal the bigger picture purpose of the position and the project. Show how the role allows applicants to directly contribute to the community. Explain how the project will address real issues, improve local services, or provide support to underserved groups. A desire to help improve people's lives can also be a powerful motivator. Show how the applicant's tasks in this role will have a lasting positive effect on individuals and families. In addition, people are more likely to be attracted to opportunities that allow them to use their strengths while engaging in meaningful work. So highlight how the role will let applicants use their skills and experiences to solve important problems. Finally, your project can be a stepping stone to future employment. This is the first note on that ambition piece I mentioned. So it's important to emphasize how the role provides valuable skills, real-world experience, and connections that can open doors to new career opportunities post-service. Show how serving in this role will equip applicants with tools and knowledge to enhance their resumes and their career prospects. Distinguish your project from others by answering key questions. What will applicants accomplish? What will they learn? What are the benefits? What do you offer that's unique? A couple of you talked about people willing to learn and being fast learners. What are they going to learn, right? Emphasize how your project stands out against the others by presenting potential applicants with the exclusive aspects of your mission, your goals, and of course, the distinctive ways it'll benefit them. By clearly detailing all those impacts, you provide potential applicants with a vision of how their contributions will make a difference in the community while also portraying how it will progress their own values and goals. This will not surprise you. I'm going to hand it over to Andy so you have a chance to practice what I just walked through. Andy?
So Jen was just talking about the need to distinguish your project from others. And to help you think about that, we're going to pose a question. And once you've done some reflecting, we invite you to post your idea in the chat. So the question is, what is special about your organization or your Vista project? It could be the organization's history or the founding story. Maybe it's connections to community leaders and influencers that you have. It could be the past recent successes and achievements that the members' work will build upon, or maybe it's a unique or compelling beneficiaries that you're serving. So for this activity, we're looking for just one unique thing. Again, we'll start the music and give you a little bit of time to reflect. All right, so I'm seeing some responses coming in. Some of you are talking about the community that you're serving, or the mission, what it is, or the vision for your project, what it is you're hoping to accomplish. Um, and then some of you are talking about what the member might experience, like professional development or skill building. So the opportunities for the member, the potential applicant, one sort of category. The other is um, the the beneficiaries of that service, the community or the people that are going to be served, um, and then others are talking specifically about the nature of the work. So great work on that. I know it's a little bit harder to sort of sing your own praises or the praises of your project. So um, good work on that. And if you weren't able to come up with one now, this might be a good thing to reflect and think about later on. Jen, what did you see among the responses here?
Like you, I saw that it seemed to be definitely more challenging than the first couple of quick practice reflections. I like to make it real in the webinar, so I appreciate those of you who tried, and what you put down was great. A couple of things. I loved the person who talked about 30 years connected to these low wealth communities, right? That says to me your organization is stable, it's well connected, probably well networked. That's a good thing for me as an applicant. Similarly, someone talked about working statewide. And that speaks to the scope of the organization. That's kind of exciting to do something that's statewide in nature. Might be exciting to some people, right? Other people might like something very local. But I loved those details. And I also think getting really specific um, when you are pretty sure your project is serving a community that would be unusual to find an opportunity to serve, like the female veterans post service. I think that's really smart. And I love that. So keep thinking about what makes your organization or project or this role really special. I'm going to share an example from my own experience. I work with several Philadelphia homeless shelters, and I was stunned when I started to learn that only one, Philadelphia's a big city, only one accepts medically fragile children. So once they began telling stories about those particular children who needed housing, it became their core strategy for recruitment, for engaging donors, volunteers. I didn't know that was the niche, right? But in talking with them about what made their work distinct, that was almost a throwaway. And it turned out to be totally unique to the city of Philadelphia and a really cool recruitment strategy. So thank you for participating in that activity. We're going to move along and examine a scenario where the impact and the benefits of a project come into play. We're going to get you right back into the chat in just a second, so get ready. This one will be a little easier. A project director at a nonprofit that addresses food security is thinking about how she might rework her opportunity listing for the next project year. She decided to emphasize how the project will improve community access to food and how the members' activities will support this goal. The member will research and track new resources, just like you see there on the slide, as well as collect data on the community's use of the organization's services. She also wants to make sure that potential applicants are aware of the unique training opportunities available within their organization. So, Andy,
Yeah. So
let it
based on
go.
yeah, so based on the background that Jen just shared, what impacts and benefits do you think the project director might name in the opportunity listing? Um, so yeah, drop those in the chat and we'll see what you all come up with. All right, so a lot of stuff coming in now.
Yeah.
Many of you are focusing on the impact, talking about fighting poverty in the community or enhancing food security, increasing access to fresh food. Others are talking about some of the benefits, the training that's available for the member, or making connections with other organizations in the community and getting those professional development and professional connection opportunities, whether it's businesses or others, certifications, volunteering opportunities. So yeah, and a lot in here that's valuable. So thank you for that. And Jen, I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah, I think they nailed it, for sure. And yes, certifications, Mary, are always great. And impact numbers. I think it was Gracie. I'm not staring at the chat at this moment, but impact numbers, right? So anything you can share that really um, gives them a picture of what they're going to do and why it matters, right? That's so what. That was good work. So let's move on because I want to make sure we talk briefly about the standard benefits that AmeriCorps offers, which are pretty amazing and also need to be included. So once you've emphasized the specific impact and benefits of the role that we just talked through, enumerating the benefits that all AmeriCorps Vista members receive during their service is essential because these benefits make a significant difference in attracting talent and offering valuable support and opportunities for personal growth. So the child care assistance benefit can help service become more accessible to applicants with families. The end of service benefit, meaning the education award or the cash stipend, is an important financial incentive. Be sure to mention its dollar value and its wide acceptance in your opportunity listing. AmeriCorps' health coverage demonstrates a commitment to the well-being of those who serve and can be a particularly attractive benefit for individuals who need healthcare assistance. If applicants need to relocate for service, knowing that there's relocation assistance can be a game changer. Emphasize how the relocation assistance can help applicants transition smoothly to the new location. Training, as we've been talking about, one of the most valuable benefits you can offer. Outline the available training programs, including any certifications and that sort of thing, to show potential applicants that your organization is actually invested in their growth and success. Of course, specify that AmeriCorps offers a modest living allowance that's intended to support members with their basic financial needs. And of course, in addition to those standard benefits, many organizations we've seen offer unique benefits like housing assistance or flexible scheduling. So we're going to talk now about some organization-specific elements in more detail. What does your organization provide in terms of benefits that sets your opportunity apart from others? That information might be benefits, as I said, like housing support or flexible scheduling, could also be training opportunity certifications. It might relate to the role, it might relate to the organization, it might relate to the impact. And it may fit into the opening lines or into the body of the opportunity listing. We're going to find out soon. Those things can give applicants insight into what they can expect and how the role might support their professional development. Yes, Mary, unlimited professional development is huge. Thanks for that in the chat. I caught that. The benefits can also be very specific. So when I oversaw Colorado's VISTA program, certain places could note that their location was in the Rocky Mountains, or they were an easy walk from Denver's downtown mall, or they had proximity to things like national parks, right? What's important is that the language you use about benefits is brief, accurate, and memorable. And for those of you who like mnemonics, I am aware that brief, accurate, and memorable is BAM. So enjoy that. Also, be sure to include the nitty-gritty. So sometimes we see these and they leave things out, right? We want accurate start and end dates, contact information, your organization's website, social media, make sure all of that is current, any links are working, the living allowance amount, just to name a few examples. Potential applicants need to do what I call doing the math, right? And that's not just their budgets, it's also their calendars, right? The serious applicants will want to investigate your organization, they're going to Google, they want to see what's going on in your community. Make it easy for them. Finally, I know you know this, but I have to say it, the opportunity listing must include eligibility criteria. So standard AmeriCorps eligibility criteria needs to be in there. They're what's included automatically. Members must be 18 years old, be a US citizen, national, or legal resident, and pass a background investigation. You may include some additional eligibility criteria specific to the project, like if they need access to transportation or specific availability needs for the role in terms of times of day, weekends. It's right. Hybrid work opportunity with teleservice, Courtney. Yes, exactly. Put that in there. And of course, if there are education requirements, language requirements, make sure that is very clear if it will actually take someone out of the running. Now that we understand the content that goes into the opportunity listing, let's put the pieces together and examine a sample listing. With the background you have now on some of what makes a listing compelling, we're going to go through a sample listing together. And I'm going to start with the title. logically enough. This is a detail that you can take right from the position's VAD, but make sure it's reasonably descriptive without being too long or too complex. After all, it's the first piece of information in the listing, and it's where the eye typically goes first. So besides simply being an AmeriCorps Vista member, what role will the member have within the organization? So the title of our sample listing is Washington County Housing Authority Resident and Community Engagement Coordinator. This is as long as I would want a title to be. This is probably your max. So let's break it down. We spelled out the name of the organization instead of using an acronym, which is more accessible to the readers and helps them get a general idea of the project's focus. The title also includes the fact that the member will interact with both housing residents and community stakeholders. The actual title of coordinator conveys that coordination is actually a requirement of the role, and it's one of those attributes we discussed earlier. When considering applicants for this position, the project director would want to keep an eye out for experience coordinating something and perhaps ask about that experience even during interviews. One other element you may consider adding to your title is your project city and state. This allows potential applicants to quickly recognize, of course, where the position is located without having to read through the entire listing. All right, let's move on to the sample's two-line summary. We're going to do a little work here. Here's an example. Invest 1 year of service and increase housing stability for hundreds of people. Impact an entire community for future generations. So this example acts as a call to action. It also lets applicants know right away what the payoff of their service would be. That single year could improve that community's access to housing for generations to come. Now let's look at some approaches you can use to help write a catchy two-liner. So that first impression always plays a significant role in attracting applicants, getting them to keep clicking, and a well-written two-line summary is often the key to grabbing their attention. So think back to today's opening activity. What features grabbed your attention and made you want to watch that TV show, read that book, or dive into that article? There were specific details or a recommendation from a friend that piqued your interest and drew you in. And this principle applies to creating engaging two-line summaries in an opportunity listing. So when you do this, applicants will be able to distinguish your position from others. So think about, again, what will excite the applicant about the position, what makes the role stand out. We've been talking about this, and use these aspects to hook them into reading the full listing. The goal is to sell the role in a way that resonates with potential applicants so they want to learn more. So if you were in the position of applicant, what would you find most exciting or unique about the position, the role? And by framing it as an exciting opportunity that aligns with potential applicants' goals and aspirations and impact, you can increase their interest. So this is all about getting them to click into the listing. If you're stuck, consider asking current members what they would say. All right, so now you've seen an example. We've talked about the hallmarks of an effective two-line summary. We're actually going to give you a chance to try your hand, not at starting from scratch, but at improving one. Andy?
All right. Thanks, Jen. I think actually we're going to move on. We were going to have a chance for you to do some wordsmithing, but in the interest of time, I think we're going to move on because we've got a lot more information that we want to share with you all. So yeah, we'll just pick up here to talk
Sure.
about the hook.
Fair enough. So this is a plot twist approach. So look at this quote. DC public schools have an intractable attendance problem, or some say. Join us and grow a proven truancy prevention program getting amazing results. So this kind of catchy hook is, instead of describing the project, it invites applicants to consider the community issues and the project goals from a different angle, right? It almost starts out saying, there's this problem. And they're like, but actually, we figured out how to solve it and we could use your help. And that's a very cool message. You know, you're joining a successful ship. And this is how you take your listing from bland to grand. So as we move from two-liners into this description that follows, which we're about to dive into, I encourage you to focus on expressing the core values and mission behind the work while incorporating the personal details that speak to potential applicants. Okay, so showcase the passion and the purpose of the role to make the listing as engaging and inspiring as possible. We're returning to our sample listing. So we're going to examine the next element, the description. The full text of the description is in the chat. So I'm going to just point out a few highlights. The organization notes that their mission is to foster the availability of affordable housing. This immediately draws in potential applicants who are particularly motivated about improving access to housing or perhaps ending homelessness. They then introduce the member's role by saying that the applicant will be responsible for relationship building. Right? The connections they build will improve the social standing of individuals experiencing homelessness in their community. So this will really start to shape applicants' first impressions and help them determine whether that's a good fit for them and for their skills. The listing also notes how this project will benefit the entire community, which may be particularly appealing to potential applicants searching for ways to make a difference in broader society. After that, the organization notes that the member will have the opportunity to collaborate with multiple stakeholders, like government entities and nonprofit partners and community members, and that's an example of the valuable experience and connections that potential applicants could gain from this role. And finally, speaking to lots of you, the member in this role will also have opportunities for professional development and personal growth. It's right there. And this underscores that personal impact the role will have while continuing to reinforce the idea that it will allow the member to make a meaningful difference in community. At the very end, you'll see they mention a feature of their location. It's close to outdoor experiences, giving applicants additional context that will help them decide what could be right for them. So we've just looked in some detail at how to make the title, two-line summary, and description compelling for your intended audience. We also talked about benefits, both those offered by AmeriCorps and those your organization offers. What's on this slide about a complete opportunity listing is what I'm speaking to right now, and you can definitely download the slides. They're coming up. Thanks, Elizabeth. Perfect. You'll also be able to indicate other details about the position, like the focus area of the service and other requirements like education or language skills. Pay attention to the dates you'll be accepting applications and check back periodically to make sure they're current. Now that you have an opportunity listing, let's now look at other ways you can use what you've created. You've invested time, right? You've created this compelling, fabulous listing. And wouldn't it be great to use that same content to build broader awareness of the positions you need to fill? Bonus, you're showcasing the meaningful work your organization is doing, and you're increasing brand recognition. Because the opportunity listing provides a catchy two-line hook and a structured overview of the role and important details like eligibility requirements, you can tailor outreach content by simply expanding or summarizing it to meet the parameters and best practices of different platforms. You can also use your existing written text in scripts for reels and other short videos. Your message will then be consistent, right, across social media channels and such, even as you customize the content a little bit for different audiences and platforms. Adding your Vista opportunities to other places in the social media ecosystem also creates what we call social capital. Social capital refers to the connections, the networks, and the relationships that can be used to help promote something, right? A cause, a product, a service, and yes, a person. So for many potential applicants, Vista is actually a great way to build social capital to boost their careers. Right? This is true if they're at the start of their professional lives or if they're changing industries or geographic locations. Using the listing to highlight the social capital a Vista member can gain in the role is terrific for attracting applicants. So when you think about the roles you're offering, what social capital features can you use to engage potential applicants? Which details might increase the interest in the role for those who are more driven by group dynamics, like working in a cohort or networking opportunities with professionals in particular fields, or perhaps being partnered with skilled mentors? Tailoring your message to different groups involves sharing the specific benefits, right, that resonate with them. So identify your audience, college students, career changers, retirees, to understand what they might look for in Vista service. College students and career changers, or those who are re-entering the workforce, will be drawn to benefits like the Siegel Award and professional development to build or expand upon valuable skills and connections, just like they'll appreciate social capital. You can use the pieces of the listing that describe benefits when creating messages for these audiences. Retirees may also be drawn to how other retirees have served and how that service can provide meaningful ways to contribute to their communities. So position the listing perhaps as a way retirees can remain active while making a lasting impact on their communities through their professional skills and experiences. When creating marketing messages for retirees, you can use the skills section of the listing as well as descriptions of the impact that the project will have. So we know each social media platform has a unique audience, right? So it's important to style your communication on each website and platform to engage that audience while keeping your core consistent. Finally, you can develop a series of posts that adapt language to fit each social media platform while featuring elements audience members on that platform might find engaging. Traditional marketing has a rule of seven, meaning someone needs to see a message at least 7 times before making a purchase. And that dovetails really nicely with the conventional wisdom that it takes seeing a message 5 to 7 times for it to go from your short term to your long term memory. The exact number of times, or touches as they're called in social media marketing, is less important than knowing that a simple series of targeted posts on one or more social media platforms is more effective than putting your opportunity listing up on a few sites and then waiting. In addition, building social capital through campaigns with tailored highlights shows that your project or organization is savvy, consistent, communicative, and well networked. Speaking of being well networked, here are some sites where Vista Project sponsors have listed their opportunities. On sites like LinkedIn, by the way, ask your connections to repost the opportunity and add a brief encouraging note at the top, especially if they've been engaged with your members or your organization. A bunch of you watched things at the beginning, TV shows and such, because you trusted recommendations from friends. And this is exactly where that connects. Beyond these larger platforms, also remember to share your listings with your local and regional networks, adapting your post to the site's audience and any technical requirements they might have. Also, check out the AmeriCorps branding guide and recruitment resources. Might save you lots of time. There are customizable flyers, logos, stock images to help you create those engaging posts. One quick additional note since I've been talking about social media. No means of reaching any audience about anything is growing as quickly or being watched as thoroughly as short videos and reels. Creating 15 to 60-second videos to be featured on social media or your partner's websites, as part of a podcast, anything, or even follow up communication with applicants is a skill worth learning. The most popular places to host the videos right now are Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Quick notes for you: on Instagram, the maximum allowed video length is 90 seconds. On TikTok, you can take up to 10 minutes, though I wouldn't. And on YouTube Shorts, videos are capped at 60 seconds. Likewise, each platform has its own features that you can use. So, for example, you can add a poll on Instagram, you could add music to a TikTok. That information can guide you in choosing the best platform for your videos, depending on what you want to showcase. What I want you to take away is that the opportunity listing contains all the essential information that you can pull when determining which features will stand out where. Now, this could be an entire other webinar, but if we can do it, let's watch a sample AmeriCorps Vista reel before we close out the topic. It highlights the teamwork and collaboration skills that applicants can expect to build in the Vista program, and it does that by showing current members in scenarios where they're using those skills and inviting potential applicants to put themselves in those members' shoes. Can we play that? Nope. Okay. Well, if you Google, you will find there are a bunch of AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps Vista Reels that you can look up. That's where we found this one. And I recommend looking at them. They're short and they're inspiring, frankly. One final tip that is worth your investment. And this one final tip worth your investment is I want you to ask for specific feedback on and contributions to your listing and to any media that you create. If I could wave a wand and make this standard practice across every organization I coach and train, I would. When you ask for feedback, you're acknowledging the value of your relationships, you're building collaboration, and you're getting a better result, right? You're asking the people who know the job to be additional eyes on what you're creating. Maybe there's a clearer way to state something, or there's a skill or strength that's proven helpful that you didn't have in there, right? Or a recent statistic. Maybe someone has a great photo on their phone. Once they contribute, give them the listing that they helped to refine and ask them to share it with their networks. And that's wins in every direction. So, quick check, Andy. Can we do it?
Yeah, we're going to see. We've had a little bit of issue here with our technology, but
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can launch this. Um, all right. So as usual, we have a question to help you see how well you've been following along. We're going to launch a poll with a question in just a moment. But first, we have an opportunity listing to share. You can read it on screen, or we can drop a link to it in the chat. Um, and yeah, in case you want to read it in a PDF version. So I'll give you a moment to read through this. I'm not going to read it. The opportunity listing is a little bit long. We want you to read it with a critical eye as to what could use improvement. So we'll give you, let's say, a minute or so to read that, and then I'm going to launch a poll.
Hmm.
All right, so now that you've had some time to review the listing, it's time to get into our poll question. And the question is, which element of the opportunity listing is the least compelling? Is it the two-line teaser, the description, the member duties, or the program benefits? And we'll go back and put the opportunity listing back up so you can read that as you look at the question. All right, looks like a little more than half of you have had a chance to respond. We'll give you about 6 or 7 more seconds to get your answers in. All right, this is the last call for the poll, and we will go ahead and close the poll. And now we're going to review the best answer here. And the best answer is B, the description. So you may have noticed that the description briefly mentions that the member will have a role in improving job training, but it doesn't say anything about what the role looks like, the skills they might develop, or the impact that they'll make. Looks like a lot of you got that right. So great work. Thank you. And now Jen is going to share a few resources.
Yes, and they are in the slides, so I'm not going to spend much time, but I thank each of you for your participation and your service as leaders, as supervisors, as sponsors. The resources are first how to write a hook. That's on a site called Writing Beginner. It's an overview of types of hooks and tips for writing them. It's actually pretty fun. And Donorly, which is a good site, has a pretty comprehensive blog on writing nonprofit job descriptions, which is especially helpful for those of you who are new to creating opportunity listings and positions. So again, thank you for participating. I really enjoyed this. Good luck.
All right. Thank you so much, Jen, for sharing all this helpful information. Um, Now we're going to turn to our audience to ask for their input. We love hearing what you think about our webinars, and so we'd love to get your feedback on this one. It'll be incredibly valuable to us, particularly Jen, so she can hear from you all what you thought about today's session. There's a brief survey. We invite you to take a few moments to complete that. It may already be open in your browser window, but if not, the link is posted in the chat. And just so you know, we review all the responses so we can figure out how we can improve not only this presentation, but to get ideas for other future sessions as well. So thanks in advance for that. Um, and speaking of future sessions, I want to just do a quick plug for our next webinar for sponsors and leaders. It's going to be on April 17th, same time, 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern, and it'll be on the topic of capacity building and how you can guide your members. A link to register for that is in the chat as well. You'll also receive an invitation in your inbox, and you can always see what's coming up by visiting the calendar on the Vista campus. And speaking of the campus, I want to do a quick plug for a set of e-learning courses we have for sponsors on member recruitment. So it ties right into with this topic. There's a series that starts with creating a recruitment plan, and then it looks at recruitment messaging. It also has modules on interviewing and selecting applicants. To view it, log into the Vista campus, go to the catalog and look for Vista member recruitment. You see the little tile on the left side of the screen. Click that, or you can follow the link that we'll post in the chat. And let's see, want to see if you have any questions for Jen. Haven't seen any come into the Q&A just yet, but we've got another minute, so I'll see if anything pops in. We've definitely covered a lot of content here, Jen. Really appreciate all the examples and insights that you've provided. And yeah, well, seeing no questions here, we'll go ahead and wrap up. Take this time again to thank our presenter, Jen Rakow, for facilitating this session and providing so much great information. Instructional design assistance was provided by Vanessa Francis, Elizabeth Floyd, Julia Rensel, and Cameron Greenup. Our session producer today was Steve Gray. Most of all, thank you for participating. This concludes our webinar. We hope to see you again soon.